Welcome guys at the 8th book review from me, Bas de Monk of the Netherlands. The book we will be talking about today is Spin Selling from Neil Rackham. The three topics we will be talking about in this video. First, the key difference between large sales and small sales. Second, the spin selling method. And third, how to prevent objections. So let me first start by saying that there are way too many points in the book to cover all in this video, so I choose the ones that are most important to me. First, we're gonna talk about some difference between large sales and small sales. Let me share some of the success areas in small sales. Closing. Closing is by far the most popular area in sales. And in small sales it is really benefitful and important. However, you should be careful using closing with smart people or professional people, because these people might feel like you are misusing them and it will have a negative effect in your sale. Here comes the difference. In large sales, however, closing has a negative effect. This is because closing is basically made for getting a sale as quick as possible, while in a large sale you will have multiple calls or meetings, and that's why it won't work. And so there are another dozen differences between large sales and small sales, with things that do work in one but don't work in the other. But we won't cover that in this video. Now, let's talk about spin selling. Where does spin stand for? It stands for situation questions, problem questions, implication questions, and need payoff questions. All of these questions have their own purpose. I want to note, before I start explaining them, that in almost every successful large sale, these sales contain these kind of questions. Now let's start with situation questions. In situation questions, you want to find out as much as possible about the background or some other data you can use to make a sale. Now, it's important to note here that for the buyer, these questions are most of the time boring or irritating, so you don't want to use them too much. After you have had some situation questions, you go to the next kind of questions, problem questions. With these kinds of questions, you want to explore the problem of your buyer, like the difficulties they are experiencing or the dissatisfactions they have, and explicitly you want to find out the problems or difficulties that your product can solve. Then we arrive at the implication questions. With this kind of questions, you want to show the buyer to see the problems and seriousness of the problems or the difficulties they are experiencing. Tony Robbins also calls this the stir up the hurt part, making the problem and difficulties they experience as big as possible. And then we arrive at the last kind of questions, the need payoff questions. With these kind of questions, you want to let the buyer tell you the benefits of your product. Wow, this was what shocked me the most. How cool must it be to experience the buyer convince you of him buying your product? That almost sounds too good, right? Well, this is what the power of these questions can do. The last point I want to share with you is objection prevention instead of objection handling. As salespeople, we all have experienced the annoying, irritating objections people can and will come up with in sales conversations. And what I taught me in my sales training was also how to handle these kind of objections instead of how to prevent getting objections. How this really triggered me. So, how do we prevent objections? There are basically two ways to prevent objections. The first way to prevent getting objections is lowering the amount of features you give about your product, or maybe don't even give one. This is because research has shown that it doesn't have any positive effect in making a sale. And here comes the real way to prevent objections. That is by building up the need so high before you give any solution to the buyer's problem. And the way to build up this kind of need is by using the spin selling method, asking the right questions in the right order or the right sequence. So what we talked about in this video is one of the key differences between large sales and small sales, the spin selling method, and how to prevent objections. In the next video I will share with you one of the most amazing benefits of NLP. And for those of you who don't know what NLP is, make sure you stay in touch to find out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you at the next video.